Tesla Semi is moving straight ahead and it is going crazy. Dan Priestley spoke at the ACT Expo just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now, and there was some fascinating new information that was revealed. And if I'm talking semi, I guess I got to talk with my buddy Mark, because as we all know, a few months back we fell into this semi routine and now we're the semi experts. And that's true. I would agree. We're semi experts.
And semi stuck.
Welcome to Futurasa. Was I stuck? Was I pausing on your end?
You just paused slightly. So we'll see if this continues.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll put you on notice, Streamyard. By the way, Streamyard has gone to hell since their acquisition by another company. They are no longer worth recommending, though they frequently sneak their link into the description on my videos, very dastardly. I would switch, but I cannot find a cheaper, better alternative. So they know they got me. Real bastards. Real bastards. So, hey, there's this channel I wanted to show you guys that you should check out. I've never actually shown it, but it's this one. This is what the Tesla life looks like. They do great stuff. Check them out. 630 subscribers. Guys, for 555 videos, unacceptable. Subscribe if you would. I have it blocked on all my other apps because they keep bringing on people like this guy. I don't know what's going on with that. It's just...
poor judgment, I would say. That's the thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, like a lot of tattoos I've seen scribbled with very bad handwriting, only God can fudge me. Hey, so I went ahead and paused it at this part so you can see just how out of spec it is. This is from Kyle Connor's channel. They went out to the ACT Expo. And
that was in Las Vegas, was it not?
No, I think it was in not San Diego, but somewhere in Southern California.
Okay.
Somewhere like that. Does it say? Anyway, it's an annual event, and it started getting exciting a few years ago when all the electric stuff started getting really real. So here are some things we learned. I want to hear your thoughts on them, if you don't mind. 1.7 million square feet, 50,000 in production. Good, bad, or no biggie?
Well, we've been hearing that all along. That's not a surprise. Certainly there was, the nice video he released along with it, showing the square footage as vehicles are driving through it. That was impressive. But 50,000, again, not a surprise. They've been talking 50,000 since the beginning. And it's just a question now of timing. They're saying that they're ramping up. They're putting installation of equipment right now, and they expect to have trucks starting to roll off the line by the end of the year, and then ramp in 2026. So that's a little bit later than what we initially heard, but at least they are moving forward. They might be a month or two off from what they originally said.
1.7 million square feet. For reference, if you'd like to know that in a useless metric, it is 100. That'd be divided by 5. So what would that be? 3
8 pounds of spiders a night.
34 square feet per. I was going to put up a spider chart, but I figured that might be just make me hungry. Something like 34 square feet per truck. That's pretty good. As opposed to Giga Shanghai, which does more like 9 square feet like a square meter per car per year. This is, of course, still tremendous volume. We'll see how they grow into it. I've seen a lot of people very disappointed. Oh, 50,000. That's fine. It's a ton. 20% market share would be monumental.
They'd be really happy with that. Absolutely.
Really happy. We did mention this last week. 7.9 million miles driven fleet-wide. Now it's certainly much more than that, with 26 of the vehicles at in excess of 100,000 miles. That gives me some confidence.
Yeah.
Although we did see one burn on the highway. That wasn't good.
Well, you're going to have some issues at the very beginning, certainly. Yeah. And we did see that. We saw tow trucks out there. We saw a number of things happen. And of course, that comes with real world testing. You're going to experience some of that stuff. But it's good to get it done with your own fleet. And of course, with the understanding of these early adopters that wanted to get involved with the program, because they have multiple trucks. They can do this, and they get a bonus out of it, but it helps Tesla out immensely with the real world trading.
It does. And there was a recall. Oh my gosh, did you hear every single Tesla truck was recalled? This is about a year ago. And the item was, I think, like the emergency brake actuators. It was a part that was on like 1 million semis. And it happened. It's a very standard part from a very normal manufacturer. Any truck that had it, not Tesla's doing. Something new, the prototype did not do this. You can roll the window down.
That's right. That's right. They discovered that, of course, the driver's going to have to interact with the outside world in some cases. Toll roads, for example, would be something that they got to interact outside the truck with, or even something as simple as speaking to someone on the side of the road.
Yeah, the side of the road, or when you pull up to the gate and they say, what? You say, go into building 6, and they go, all right. Well, they might just wave you through, but there's a lot of places where you'll need to show a bill of lading or something to get on site. Otherwise, it'd be the easiest heist in the world. You just pull your semi into any factory and load it up. Free stuff, unlimited. It'd be pretty cool. The big one was 7.3% more efficient.
That is remarkable because, of course, that is Tesla's bread and butter. When they build something, they iterate on it over and over and over. And this is more evidence that they're doing this with the semi program. And I'm glad to see it because, of course, the competition is having a hard time catching up in the first place. But with Tesla not standing still and iterating and finding out better things to update the rig with, that's just going to help their cause.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of bread and butter, the diner's looking pretty good too. Okay. Now here's the thing is they've said we will be domestically sourcing our batteries for the lowest costs. Does that mean they're going to switch to 4680s?
It could, but it also could mean that they, of course, have a number of special deals with all sorts of battery manufacturers, including themselves. And they could just be iterating on what they currently have as opposed to switching to 4680s. But I think eventually, if Tesla could, they would switch everything to 4680, but there's not enough of them. And they need more batteries.
I have it on good authority that the semi requires quite a few cells. But 7.3% efficiency, you are reducing the amount of battery that you require by an entire Model Y, which is pretty good. And then, of course, that reduces the weight, probably about 700 pounds lighter if you're doing that much of a reduction. And that means you can haul more cargo or just have a lighter, better truck. It's great. That's what you want to see. And then let's see. Worth noting, I had a conversation with Jordan Kisagi this week, and I asked him about how frequently batteries change just a little bit, where they do just little adjustments. And he said with the 4680, constantly. Maybe not daily, but constantly. If they find one tiny thing they can improve, they will do it right now. But with the 2170s, I said, surely those are updated frequently too. He said, Panasonic doesn't do it that way. They do it in generations, where they'll get a new cell, perfect it, and then put it into deployment. So it could be that we are talking about 40. I mean, it's just an interesting thought to know which one's which. Another big one, up to 25 kilowatts of output.
That's a big win for Tesla and the trucking industry as a whole, because of course they're talking about taking this power from the semi and pushing it back to a trailer that needs energy, such as a reefer unit. And a reefer is a refrigeration unit that they can now power through electricity instead of the small diesel generator that was sitting on the back of every reefer in North America currently. So being able to just to plug that into the truck is going to save money on fuel, and it's going to save the environment because there'll be no emissions coming from that. So big win.
Those little diesel generators that they put on the back are loud and not regulated by the same emissions control standards as the truck itself, which is already very bad. So this is absolutely a win-win. I assume that those reefer units can be powered by shore power, which means you don't need any retrofit. Just plug it in
That's right.
because it'll handle AC, DC, whatever you need. Back in black, there you go. That's AC/DC, right? Or is that Aussie?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. I got it right. Okay. So that's huge. And if you want to use it as your mobile power unit, it is now a real power bank. It is. If you've got forest fire, for example, anybody who hauls out a truck with a generator can now just haul out a truck.
That's right. Yep. You've got really a portable power unit because it's on wheels and it can plug into anything, AC or DC.
Yeah. And that would be, 10 hours of full output would only drain about 30% of your battery, which is more than you would need to put on a festival. And you wouldn't be pulling that kind of wattage for a whole lot of, that 25 kilowatts is substantial. That's like what your house pulls when everything is on. So that's great. The chargers, new bit of information, I guess this isn't a surprise, is that a cabinet can handle one truck or two or eight. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, what do you need? Do you need the full juice right now?
Exactly.
Well, for the first 20 minutes, you need most of the juice, but after that, you don't. So even if you were using 2 stalls and wanted full juice, it would still work. Bring us a new truck every half hour, you'd still get,
a substantial charge.
Yeah, you'd still get a very significant charge. And if it's 8, then, this is at my location where I have 8 trucks, you'd still charge up a little softer on the battery, prolong it a bit.
Yeah, and of course, if this is a fleet operation, you are going to have trucks that are cycling through. So that makes sense for the person, if they own the supercharger, to have the ability to share it or to limit it to 1 or 2 trucks. It makes sense that the operator has that choice.
And then they said we also have an integrated overnight charging solution, which to me means not a V4 cabinet, but I don't know, a bunch of level 2.5 kind of, I don't know what it would be.
He didn't actually say what it was. He said he didn't want to release everything. So
right. Maybe it's a mega pack that juices up 24/7. I don't know, because then he did say that even in places that do not have the infrastructure, that they would work to provide charging there. So that could mean a mega pack or 2 or 3 or 10, but even still, you got to get the juice in somehow.
That's right.
And I don't know, beyond that, maybe they mean we'll pay to put in a solar farm next to it. I don't know.
Yeah. Another point he made was about the actual charge, how much the fee is to load electricity into these trucks.
Tell me.
And he indicated that Tesla is going to be making sure that the trucks that are filling up will be getting the lowest rate possible. They want to show that electricity is far better to charge those vehicles than gasoline, even if you're on the road and it's not your charger. They want to make sure that the rates are the lowest they can be in order to put an explanation point behind that electrification name, because they know that the bean counters at the trucking companies, that's what they're after: maintenance and cost of fuel. How is it going to affect our operation?
So I did some number crunching on that. How do you make it so that a Megacharger costs less per kilowatt hour than or less per kilowatt, or what kilowatt hour? Anyway, than the superchargers currently? I thought the superchargers currently were already designed to not be a profit center.
True.
Why would they charge 35 cents for a car per kilowatt hour when it's not a profit center? Any theories?
Well, what he's describing is if there is some sort of the ability to collect energy and store it, then they will be topping up that reserve overnight when rates are the cheapest and they may be sharing that price or something close to that price to the people that use that charger throughout the day at the higher or the on demand or on peak times.
So I have a different theory. My theory is that a V4 cabinet is not substantially more expensive than the car chargers. The cable's a little longer and a little thicker, but that's not a big expense over time. What they want to do is make $5-10 off you and me every time we charge. And what they want to do is make $5-10 off the semi. But now you're spreading it out over 8 times as much juice, at least 5 times as much juice. And another reason they struggle to make the superchargers affordable without turning into a profit center is because all of the people who get free supercharging, sometimes for life, you and I are subsidizing those people. So I'm not bitter. I'm not mad about that. I'm not, because sometimes I get referral credits that I turn into those miles too. But it does mean that in some places at some times supercharging is more expensive than gas, which I think the objective should always be, it needs to be cheaper than gas. It just at least make it the same price as gas, because I know you ain't paying 35 cents a kilowatt hour. That's ridiculous. In some places, the commercial or industrial rates could be as low as 5 to 7 cents. Charging 35 is egregious unless there's some time of use surge. But I get it. It's not a profit center, and I'm just glad that the network is built out to the extent that it is, and I'm glad that it's continuing to grow. And then we heard about the locations. Yes. What did we hear?
Oh, the slide that you showed earlier behind Dan showed there were 46 sites that were being built. Mm-hmm. And Dan indicated that some of the sharp-eyed viewers out there, or as like we call them, the Tesla drone army, some of them have been spotted. And he said that the sharp-eyed people will be able to notice that they're not a normal supercharger. So some of them obviously are already under construction. So that's exciting news. And if you see the map behind him, it looks like you've got that corridor between Southern California and Texas. It mm-hmm. looks quite populated compared to anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So that is exciting to see that they're following the original plan that they had, but they're adding substantially more locations.
Well, we did get a comment last week that we'll probably be covering in the semi one, where someone said, yeah, but where will people charge them? And I was like, well, there's a map. Yeah, but that's all lies. You can't believe that. Ugh. Okay. I mean, they've already started on them. The permits are already pulled. That's how word got. Sure. Okay. Well, we're running real long, so let's do this. This is us from last week, and I should mention you should come to this event because Mark's going to be there. And that's cool. You can meet us both. Pick your favorites. You've got to pick your favorites. So here's a question for you, off topic, but do big batteries made for storage import LFP batteries from China, and will they be paying a tariff?
Well, as the current administration says, if you're going to be importing LFP batteries from someplace else, there is going to be some sort of tariff. But this is all in play. As we've seen from the current administration, they tend to switch their minds, their thinking, depending on what's going on currently. So I think a lot of businesses are just kind of sitting on the outside looking at this going, I don't know what's up and what's down, because it just keeps changing.
It's going to be tricky for ordering for any business until the dust settles. And I don't know what's going to settle the dust. I will say that under Biden, the tariff on LFPs was already increased to 100%, which is what killed the standard range Model 3. It was only sold for a short time in the US. And so, yes, those tariffs will be paid, which is crazy because we're building another Megapack factory in Texas. Seems expensive. I would have thought you'd put it in Mexico and ship those out to Central and South America and all the TPP countries and all of the Latin trade countries. But yes, those batteries will have a tariff. The Megapacks are always LFP. Let's see what we got here. I may have missed it in another video. Why is Mark pink and his background purple? Tell us about your sunburn, Mark.
Well, ever since being held hostage, I get more sun than I ever got before. So that's why I'm pink. Yep.
That makes sense. I figured I just gave it a thumbs up, did not answer it. I figured you would have a good answer. Allset Homes may have referenced the builder because, Tesla, Allset. I don't know what the question would be. But yes, I want a small Tesla. This is a good question. Do you think we have a 2015 Spark? Love the size and maneuverability. It's a little over 12 feet long, so I understand that's not going to happen. But maybe something 13 and a half, like 4 meters would be ideal. Would that be a non-seller here in the U.S.?
That's difficult to say. I owned a Spark for a while and enjoyed it. Liked the size of it, liked the ability for it to be a city car, just driving around in the city, in the region. But it seems that most Americans shy away from the small cars. And that just seems to be the case when a small car is available. They just seem to shy away from it. So not sure if Tesla would go that small, but I agree. Something a little smaller than a Model 3, I think it could do it. But it seems that Elon is not of that mindset currently. That could change. But right now, I don't think it's in the cards.
A lot of people have nostalgia for their old compact car that they had when they were younger. But what I would say to that is the reason compacts caught on the first time is because they were cheap. They're not really that cheap anymore. They're a little bit less expensive, but not significantly. You look at the price of a smart car and they were still 35 grand. That makes no sense. Why would I buy something that small if for the same money I can get a car that doesn't look like a toy? And then of course the added benefit was at the time that Honda and Toyota came to the US selling very small cars, they were selling cars that were very reliable compared to their US counterparts. So I think all of those play
and economical on fuel.
Yes, and fuel efficient. I love that the Hummer EV gets all the treatment of being an efficient vehicle while being the other thing. Which I think is just an abomination. But how will people get into that third row of a Model Y without a door?
That's always been the case with any car today that has a third row. It's always been the back, the second row bends forward or slides forward or combination. That's how they get in. There won't be a third row of seats.
Third row of doors.
I'm sorry. Yes. Doors.
Now, like you, thought this was a serious question. No, Gary's giving me a hard time because I said that the Slate truck would be difficult to get into the back seat from the front seat. And he's given me a hard time. And what I would say that is, look at the size of the Slate door. It's too small. When you had 2-door coupes with a rear seat on the road, the front doors were always bigger. So you could actually get in. And also, I would point out that those cars went out of fashion right around the dawn of the obesity epidemic. So that's just my thinking. Let's see. So this was in regards to my phantom drain issue at the airport, which I didn't solve. It just went away.
Oh.
At 825, no cabin overheat protection, no sentry mode. Weird. Maybe just always need to feed the hamsters. Just true. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. Extended wheelbase, I'm a bit skeptical as it's a change in form factor. But if true, maybe a shortened wheelbase would be possible as well. That would be a lot more interesting than Model Y with a lesser trim. Thoughts?
If it's possible to extend the wheelbase, it's certainly possible to shrink it. The question is, does it make financial sense for what they're trying to achieve?
That is the question. No, I don't know. I can't answer it that simply, but we've been over it. So great question. Thank you. And then last one, I assume that by Python, they mean siphon. Is it possible to Python electricity from an EV? Could Pythoning electricity become a thing just as it is with ICE vehicles? Yeah. I don't see evidence that Brian's a shill. However, Mark, on the other hand, might be a shill for shilling. Oh. So yeah, I don't know if you can siphon electricity out. What I suggest you do is fashion a cable, jam it in, and find out what could go wrong. And I know what you're saying, everything. But there's one way to find out, and that's by
Do not take Brian's advice. Do not take Brian's advice.
Inviting grievous bodily injury into your daily life, which I think is, I'm going to go with Mark on this one and say don't. But it's a great idea and a sufficiently hilarious question that I had to answer it. Guys, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Leave it. Subscribe if you may, if you please, pretty please, and everybody else. Stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, today, if you're in Mexico City, which is where I am as of this publication. I'm not there yet, but I'll get there.
Time travel.
I'll get there. And also place travel. I'm very crafty.